I'll give you only practical advice, no theory cutting. I'll give you only about UPSC because I have written only that exam. But I have the exam ಬರೆಯೋದು ಅದೊಂದೇ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆಗಿರೋದು. 2 ಸಲ ಫೇಲ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದೀನಿ, 1 ಸಲ 3ನೇ ಸಲ ಪಾಸ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಪೆನ್ ಪೇಪರ್ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಬರ್ಕೊಬೋದು ನೀವು. ಮೇನ್ ಫಸ್ಟು ನಿಮಗೆ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮಿನರಿ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನೇಷನ್ ಇವಾಗ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಇದೆ. ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಫೋಕಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಿರೋದಂದರೆ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ, ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಬೇಡ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ನಾನು ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಇವಾಗ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರು ಏನು ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ 1857 ಏನಾಗಿದೆ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. They will frame the questions in such a way that if there are 4 options, they won't give you A, B, C, D. They will give option 1 A and B, option 2 A, B and C, option 3 A, C and D, option 4 B, C, D. So you should know depth. So focus on one book called by Bipin Chandra. That is very good. You should read that book for Indian history after 1857. So focus on that book. Then you have to focus on Constitution of India. In Constitution of India, they will be asking you articles which are uncommon. They want to test your depth of knowledge, and they want to test whether you have read the schedules, whether you have read the parts. In each of these different parts and schedules, whether you have got insight, then they will give you different states and which are the article 371 is related to that. Nagaland comes in 371, which I, J, F, D. Karnataka comes in which one? 371, 1, I, J. So you have to know each of these states and which article corresponds to that state in the special category. Then you have 5th schedule and 6th schedule states. Know very clearly how 5th schedule is different from 6th schedule. So go deep. When you are reading the Constitution, go deep. I read from Lakshmikant. Many of you are reading from D.D. Vasu. So you choose, but you should read deeply. And if you are reading from Lakshmikant, go to the end of the book. There are those 15 question papers which are given. Solve it. And before going to the exam hall, I revised only that particular question paper because I can't remember all articles. Oh, 500 kitna hai, 400, 399 something nahi. So I have to revise only this much. And 243 A to W, कौन सा जिला पंचायत, कौन सा इसमें which article 243 they'll give you I, J, K, L, कौन सा related. So you can't remember everything. So you just go through that particular 14 to 15 answer books that is given in the knowledge book. That should do it for polity, Constitution of India. Then geography they can ask you anything. Geography includes not just plants or animals or soil, they will even include economics as well. So know about the different economics which happens in northeast of our country, specifically in these neglected areas. So you have to be very careful which are the different plants which are grown, what kind of animals which are found, how they are developing the economy in these areas. Focus on, for example, in environment, they will ask you national parks, reserves, biosphere reserves and other things which are uncommon. You would never have heard that name. And then they will be asking you animal names, for example, dugong. So you would never not have heard ki kya hai. For example, in my particular preliminary examination, they asked me a bird which is sitting on a particular buffalo species. Who will know which bird is sitting on a buffalo species? So be practical when you are studying and focus on the uncommon things. Some Burmese lizard will be there, Burmese orangutan, which will be available in Nagaland, Manipur. So they will be asking which part of India you find this particular animal, which part of India you find this bird. Focus on these things. Go into the specifics. And there are a lot of mangroves which are found in not just Odisha or Bengal border, but even in Andaman, Lakshadweep. Different varieties of mangroves are there. Go into the depth. That's what I am saying. In geography, you should go into depth, especially in preliminary examinations. Then you have environment, Wildlife Protection Act, Environment Protection Act, forest rights, all the different UNFCCC protocols. So you will have list of all of them. But for example, I went to Andaman Nicobar Islands on a tour. I was not allowed to take out these shell conchs which are collected from the beaches. They took it out in the airport. So under which act? They may ask you, is it under Environment Protection Act? Is it under Wildlife Protection Act? Which act is that? So know the act and the year as well. For example, 1972 में है या वो 1959 में है, कौन सा year वाला भी याद रखो, because they will give you Wildlife Protection Act common 1972, Wildlife Protection Act common 1970, Wildlife Protection Act common 1974. So you will forget, you will be lost totally. Which one should I select? So remember, when you are reading any law which is made by the country, so you should remember the year in which it is passed. Very important, year in which passed, very important. Because there will be some amount of history, ಒಂದು ಹಿನ್ನೆಲೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಅದು ಕಾಯ್ದೆ ಬರೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಹಿನ್ನೆಲೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಇತಿಹಾಸ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಆ ಇತಿಹಾಸ ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು, ಯಾಕೆ ಆ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟ್ನ ಪಾಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು. ಟೈಗರ್ ಪ್ರೊಟೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟ್, ಟೈಗರ್ಗೋಸ್ಕರ ಯಾಕೆ 1970s ಆಯ್ತದು, ಏನು ಹಿನ್ನೆಲೆ ಇತ್ತು, ಸೊ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ आई टेल यू अबाउट इकोनॉमिक्स, उसके बाद साइंस, फिर देन आई गो टू द नेक्स्ट एग्जाम्स. So economics is very important. Earlier UPSC did not used to stress on this part of the examination, economics, but see, you are writing this examination to get into which services: Indian Police Service, Indian Administrative Service, Indian Revenue Service, Indian Audit and Account Service, Indian Civil Account Service, Indian Railway Account Service, Defence Accounts, Indian Postal Service, Armed Forces Headquarters Service, and Rail Protection Service. Then which is Indian Audit and Account Service. So these, or if you see all the services, you find that there is something common across all the services, except police, which deals with the lathi, we beat up people. The rest of the services are based on pen and paper. And in pen and paper, which is the domain that you work in. If you are in Indian Administrative Service, you are working in the field of development economics, land issues, land records management. Then you are going slowly, as you progress in your career, you will be going into budget management, financial management, budget allocation, project administration. That's in Indian Administrative Services. You forget about police for a moment. You go into revenue services. What do you deal with? You deal with microeconomics, macroeconomics, revenue management. पैसा कहाँ से आता है वो revenue services deal करता है. Whether it is indirect taxes, custom excise or direct taxes. So कहाँ से पैसा आता है, ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ದುಡ್ಡು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಹೆಂಗೆ ಸ್ಪೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡೋದು IAS ಕೆಲಸ, ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದು ರೆವಿನ್ಯೂ ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್ ಕೆಲಸ. ಸಿವಿಲ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್ ಅವ್ರೇನು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವರು ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಬಜೆಟ್ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ದುಡ್ಡು ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಅವರು ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಯು ಗೆಟ್ ದ ಮನಿ ಇನ್ ಟು ದ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ಅದನ್ನು ಲೆಕ್ಕ ಹಾಕಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಲಾಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಕೌಂಟಿಂಗ್. ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಅಗೇನ್ ಪೆಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್. ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ಇಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಸೇಯಿಂಗ್ ಕಿ Indian Civil Account Service, Revenue Accounts, Railway Accounts, Defence Accounts, Audit Accounts. So ಎಲ್ಲದರಲ್ಲೂ ಅಕೌಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಕಾಮನ್ ಇದೆ, ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ಕಾಮನ್ ಇದೆ. Therefore, in examination after 2011, they are asking you accounting concepts as well. They are asking you economics concepts as well. Microeconomics, macroeconomics, ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ in prelims, mains and analytics. So economics is very important. How many of you are economics graduates here? See, this is what I am saying. There are only 3 people out of 100. Not everybody will know economics. So you have to focus on economics. There are good lecture videos available in YouTube. Whether it is Khan study series or you go into some US universities websites, they have nice web videos. Go through these videos. They are very good. Economics is very important for this, from the perspective of this examination. I will tell you why it is important in the mains exam as well. But you have to focus on economics, specifically microeconomics in prelims and macroeconomics, development economics, international economics in the mains exam. I was lucky because in my first attempt, which I gave in 2008-9, so I did not know economics at all. I was an engineering graduate only. I did not clear the prelims at all. By 1 mark I missed. Economics was the doomsday. That's why I keep doing economics, because it was my failure thing in 2008. Then I started working in a place called Nokia Research and Development. I worked there for 2 years. Then I joined IIM Bangalore. I completed my IIM Bangalore thing, helped me a lot because that taught me economics, that taught me management, finance, accounting, and all the other things which you need to run an organization. After that, I wrote the exam again. I cleared the preliminary examination both the times. Economics was very useful. And my optional subject is also management. Economics is one of the main criteria if you have to clear management. So it matters. Economics matters. That's very important. Next, I will tell you about in preliminary examination, science is also very important. There are physics, chemistry, botany, zoology. In physics and chemistry, They are going to ask you proper 10th standard level physics, chemistry questions. Proper from NCERT or your Kannada State Board. I am from Kannada State. So Karnataka State Board syllabus, NCERT, CBSE, ICSE, whichever international baccalaureate, whichever school you have gone, 10th standard level minimum they will expect in physics and chemistry. No need of going into 11th and 12th. No need of that, but 10th standard they will expect. Botany is very important. Botany, plants and zoology is also important. Why I will tell you. In botany and zoology, if you take these two subjects and you have environment, these three subjects are very interrelated. So they will ask you which plant is found, name of the plant, it is found in which geographical place, which is the law to protect this particular plant, or what is the economic thing which is derived from this plant. So you have to read botany, environment and economics interrelated way. Then you have zoology. Zoology तो they पूछते रहेंगे कि ये वाला पशु कहाँ मिलता है, where will you find this particular animal, ಈ ಪ್ರಾಣಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಣ ಬರುತ್ತಾ, ABCD, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಮ್ಯಾಚ್ ದ ಫಾಲೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಪ್ರಾಣಿಗಳ ಹೆಸರು some blue orange colored macaw, some lizard, some mouse. So which particular part of India, हिमाचल प्रदेश एक है, अरुणाचल में एक है, एक मिजोरम में है, एक मणिपुर में है. So you have to match the following and then you have to put it in the answer. So you have to be very careful about zoology, which particular animal groups you have to find. Then you learn about the different digestive systems of animals. I faced a few questions on cow digestive system. Why so many intestine is so long in cow. Then cockroaches, how is it different? Why how are their legs designed? So these kind of questions they will ask only up to 10th standard level, nothing more than that. So that's about preliminary examination. There are two papers in preliminary examination, paper 1 and paper 2. Paper 1 is compulsory, you have to clear, you have to be in the top to get selected. Paper 2 is just pass. So if you know maths and English, take it seriously, but because many of times paper 2 also you may flunk. It's about maths and English, clear it. That's it. So that's about preliminary examination. Now I will talk about mains examination. See, when you are looking at mains examination, always remember that there are roughly 25 to 30,000 who are giving the mains. It's like if 10 lakh is writing, they will select 30,000. In my particular year, there was more than 10 lakh applicants, so they selected 30,000. Now I hear that the number of applicants for UPSC has drastically reduced because the exam has become more tougher in prelims. So it has come down to 4 to 5 lakhs now, so they may select around 20,000. In 20,000, you have to be there in the top 3,000 to get called for the interview. Interview, how many will get called? 3,000, 1:3 criteria, only 1,000 will get the ranks. So out of this 20,000, how will you be in 20,000 how will you be in those top 3,000 out of 20,000? In every, there is basic, in statistics, if you plot, there are 100 of you here. If I plot the marks of all of you that you are secured to come and sit here, so it will follow a curve called as bell curve. So the shape of the curve is like this. To be, you should aim that you should be in the top 10 percentile of the curve. You need not be in the top 1 percentile, but in the top 10 percentile. So if the graph is like this, you should aim to be here. That's bell curve. So bell curve gets normalized. I'll tell you what is normalization of bell curve. If you are scoring some very high marks in Kannada literature, someone scores very low in history, someone scores very low in management, what UPSC will do is they will reduce the Kannada literature marks so that everybody is in the same level. This normalization of bell curve is very dangerous, and it happens, it is reality, because they don't want any partiality. Why should only Kannada literature students get selected? Why should only sociology students get selected? They should ensure diversity across different streams. They should ensure medicine people get selected. They should ensure veterinary people also should get selected. Zoology people should also get selected. So they will normalize the scores. During normalization, if you are one of those 7,000 people who have taken Kannada literature, sociology, geography, these kind of common things, it is very tough to be in this top 10%. My personal opinion, my personal experience tells me that you have to take tough optionals. But it is your choice. I took an optional which is very tough. Not more than 86 people took it all over India. 3 made it. In my this thing I knew that 3 of my friends have made it, including me. But it is very tough to be in the top 10%. So you have to write your answers in such a way that you are in that top 10% curve. especially in optionals. So how will you do that? थोड़ा आंसर हट के लिखना चाहिए. मतलब when the examiner is looking at your answer booklet, he should get a shock. He is correcting daily 100 papers, 150 papers. What is different that you knew? And you are writing in paragraphs with small handwriting. What is it? So you have to do something that will get his focus. थोड़ा हट के आंसर लिखना चाहिए, and he should get mesmerized. That will make you in the top 10% as well. You'll learn more and more as you write and as you see different candidates' answer sheets. But this is very important. The way you write your answers, you will clear preliminary examination, but in mains you will be bowled out because you are not able to excite the examiner. In my case, there was no need for any excitement. The examiner had 7 days, 10 days. He had to correct 50-60 papers. Aram se he can correct. But in your case, if you have taken sociology, if you have taken political science, if you have taken these common optional subjects, they will just correct your papers and they will forget it. So you have to differentiate yourself. For example, if you have taken liberal arts, humanities, social sciences paper, you can differentiate yourself by writing some instances from cinemas, from songs, from poems. So these things will make it different. I used to do it for ethics paper. But management I can't do it. So you can do it even in essay. You can do it. Essay you should differentiate yourself in essay as well. Because essay is the deciding criteria as far as getting selected for the interview is concerned. So essay I was failed in my second attempt because my essay marks was less than 80 out of 250. So you have to differentiate yourself in the essay as well. Now I'll talk about mains examination. Leave out the optional part. GS. General Studies 1, 2, 3, 4. When I was taking the interview of all the candidates, I asked them just the subjects in GS 1, 2, 3, 4, what is the syllabus. Many of them had blank faces, they did not know the syllabus as well. So you are already, if you are preparing, then you should know the syllabus at least. So that I told them. So GS1 is Indian History, World History, Indian Geography, World Geography. For this, Indian History, you have to learn ancient Indian History, ancient World History, everything you need to know, and they are going to ask you questions about culture, literature, art, music, language. Every year there will be one question on the culture and literature from northern India one and from southern India one. During my time I had question on Bharatanatyam and on the temple architecture of South India. During your time it will be something else. So art, literature, culture is very important from ancient Indian perspective. Modern Indian history, you should focus on national movements. Our national movement, that is number one. And after national movement, from 1947 to present 2017, I would say you focus on Ramchandra Guha's book, which gives you all the insights on Indian history till 2007. For the last 10 years, you can go through magazines. So this is one thing on Indian history part. Then Indian geography, NCERT book is what I read. And please draw maps. In geography, you have to draw maps. If you don't draw maps, gone case. For my thing, I had this earth plates movements, and which are the different movements in Indonesian region. So I give a map of Southeast Asia. I show the Indonesian plates. Then I wrote the answer. In geography, you should draw maps. That is compulsory because they will know that at least you know where this particular thing is situated, which are the different earthquake and volcanic prone zones, why tsunamis are created, how tsunami height becomes more. When the plate moves up, the height of the wave also increases. So these things you can show it through pictures. Geography, you have to draw pictures, and please give examples in geography, because they will ask you a very generic thing about some phenomenon, and you give this has happened in Nepal in 2012. This has happened here. Then you give some small things. So geography, focus on giving examples and drawing maps. Next paper is on polity constitution. Recent trends which I am telling is that they won't, in my case, I wrote the exam 2 times, mains examination. So what they have done is they won't ask you about Article 370 क्या बोलता है, Article 353 क्या बोलता है, नहीं ये सब नहीं पूछेंगे. और ಏನು ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂದರೆ last 2-3 years since Modi government has come into power, what are the different things which have come new, how they have tried to bring in different laws. Why these laws have been changed? For example, now the burning issue is triple talaq. How will you relate triple talaq to uniform civil code? They'll try to understand whether you can relate what is happening in the current affairs to what is there in our constitution, to what is happening in the laws, and whether you can write everything by giving insights in the answer paper. So that is what they are focusing on. And in such papers, especially polity papers, which are related to current affairs, so I used to write in 3 parts. First is context. What is the historical context, present day context in which this particular issue has come up? Next is the content, that is my particular opinion. These questions will have dilemma situations. There will always be some positive dilemma, negative dilemma, because we are opinionated. As civil servants, we are decision makers, we have our own opinions. As investigating officer, I can decide the fate of people. So I make decisions. I have to give opinions. You have to bring that up in the answer paper. This particular scenario has got this scenario. Next conclusion is I select this. This is the way in which you have to answer in paper 2. Paper 2 is, especially they will give you contesting scenarios, which will, for example, in triple talaq, the minority Muslim community have certain opinions. In Muslim community there is entire divisions. Different women's groups have different opinions. There is Jamaat Ulama in the All India Muslim Personnel Law Board. They have different opinions. So the Hindu groups have certain different opinions. You have to bring theirs around. Then you have to select. You can't be very diplomatic in paper 2 because you have to select something. They will give your opinion or opinionate, elucidate, explain something. So you should be very careful in paper 2. And once you're done with the polity part, next comes the international relations. International relations focus on how present government, Modi government, has changed the Indian perspective on foreign policy. He has undertaken foreign tours of so many different countries all across the world. Hardly any country is left out now, important country. So how is he trying to project India's soft power? Then the aggression level with China, it was moderated during UPA. Now it has increased. Why it has increased? How is the government trying to pinch China? We have our own instruments, for example, Dalai Lama is there. So how do you pinch China? That you have to bring it out. And then Pakistan, the present government started on a positive note as far as Pakistan was concerned. He himself went and greeted the Prime Minister of Pakistan, then Prime Minister of Pakistan, on his birthday. What happened next? Pathankot attack. So you do anything good with Pakistan, they come back and they backstab you. So how is the present government dealing with them? The current level of escalation in conflicts across the border is very high. Why is it so? We have gone inside Pakistan and we have killed Pakistanis through surgical strikes. How was this implemented? Why was this implemented? And what is message being sent across? So, and how are we trying to corner Pakistan across the world? How is the US government also on our side on this particular issue? Apart from this, our neighborhood is very important. Nepal, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Southeast Asia, and Afghanistan. Afghanistan is very important. And Middle East. So this particular part of India is very important as far as UPSC is concerned. They ask you a lot of questions on India's neighborhood and how India's neighborhood policy has undergone a change, especially in Bangladesh, for example. Khalida Zia was there earlier, and Khalida Zia versus Sheikh Hasina. So BNP of Khalida Zia, it supports Jamaat-e-Islami. Jamaat-e-Islami is a banned organization in Bangladesh because they are in line with Ansarul Islam. So that's a Al-Qaeda banned organization. And the present government, it tries to be soft towards Sheikh Hasina's Awami League. Why is it so? We did not oppose when the previous elections had some turmoil. Why is it so? So you should go into the history of the present situation and try to understand how India deals with each country differently, and you have to bring it out in the answer paper. Context, content, conclusion. Paper 2 is very important, and if you do well in paper 2, it's a good thing. Next, paper 3. Paper 3 is what? It's about development economics. Number 1 is development economics. Number 2 is international and national security. Development economics, different types of agriculture, industry, services, different projects, A scheme, O scheme, all different kinds of things which the government has brought out in the last 4.5 years. Keep reading them and bring them out in the answer paper. I am saying all of this that to you, all this story I am telling to you from the perspective of exam which you are about to write next. Immediately you are going to write the exam. So from that perspective I am saying all these things. So there are different schemes which Government of India has brought about: Digital India, Skill India, Aadhaar. Why Aadhaar has to be linked with all these particular, all kinds of identity documents? We are trying to create Aadhaar on the based on the parallel scheme which is existing in the United States, social security number. So you are linking Aadhaar with PAN, Aadhaar with voter ID card, everything. You are linking everything with Aadhaar. So what is the significance of Aadhaar? Is it an invasion of privacy? So they'll ask you such questions. You have to give proper answers. Development economics is very important. And in development economics, they will also ask you about where all you are getting the money from, which are the different revenue earning streams for the Government of India, how you are disbursing them, both on the revenue and the expenditure side. And in budget management, they are going to ask you about fiscal responsibility management, what is the revenue deficit and current budget deficit. So these things they are going to go deep. Next is national security. National security is whatever I said in paper 2, you extend it more and you think it from the internal Indian security perspective. In the last 15 years, there has been an increase of terror strikes caused by Indians in India. This is a very good, very recent development. Earlier, Pakistanis used to come, create havoc, or they used to use some Uzbeks, Afghans come here and create trouble. Now, in the last 15 years, after SIMI was banned, Students Islamic Movement of India has been banned. A lot of these terror strikes inside India are being caused by Indians. So you go into the history of this and then try to understand the different terror groups which are operating. Then you go into the different insurgencies which are happening. Then you have the Manipuri insurgency. 24 groups are operating in Manipur. You have Nagaland insurgency. There are the Naga groups called the Thaplang group, which is in Myanmar. They come and attack inside India, go back. Then you have the insurgent groups in Meghalaya. These are very hyperactive. North Bengal and Assam. Kamtapur Liberation Organization, which is new, Bodos. A lot of insurgencies happening in the northeast. Then you have the Kashmiri internal turmoil. So you should know about these things. Apart from this, in the last, specifically after 2005, the situation in Chhattisgarh has gone out of hand. Salwa Judum came. We gave power of weaponry to in the hands of the civilians, to civil police. We called them as the civilians. We had them and called them as special police officers. Gave them weapons. They started killing, and it created more enemies. So how did the situation in Chhattisgarh has evolved in the last last 12 to 13 years? You should know. Then Jharkhand, West Bengal, Odisha. This particular red belt you should know very clearly. That will be asked in internal security. Next, paper 4. What is ethics paper? What is actually ethics? Ethics is a combination of, whatever I have understood, it's a combination of philosophy and psychology. Philosophy on a broad level, but you bring it down into religious philosophy, Hindu philosophy, Islamic philosophy, Buddhism philosophy, philosophy of different thinkers, Swami Vivekananda, Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr. So whoever has given certain, there are then certain thoughts. So they are putting it in different books, and you should know their philosophy and try to bring it out in the answer paper. So philosophy is very important for ethics. Because ethics is a dilemma kind of situation, because your ethics is different from my ethics. I may consider something which is ethical, you may find it unethical. So be very clear when you are answering in ethics paper. And then you have psychology. Psychology, why I am saying psychology is there in ethics is because you will be given scenarios. Then you will be asked, what will you do? So you should give the different, analyze the scenario on different philosophies and then say, my personal opinion, my particular ethical philosophy is that I will select this particular option. And then you have to write. To understand ethics, there are all this utilitarian approach, deontological approach, that. These things are all right, but you should have your own particular internal, whatever is your opinion, you answer the questions based on that as well, not just on ethical theories. So that is very important. This has come after, I think in the last 2013 paper it came. So ethics is very important. Many are saying that ethics, the civil servant will write something in the answer booklet. When he becomes a civil servant, that ethics is gone. So they think that you are trying to manipulate the ethics paper. So they are trying to manipulate the ethics paper, and then they become civil servant, then they do something else in their career. Ethics is very important. You will be caught in the interview. Once you have done all these things, you get selected. Then you come into the interview stage. Interview stage, I have only one philosophy in interview: honesty is the best policy. You can't go on blabbering in interview. You have to be very, very specific to the point. They will ask you very specific. In my case, they used to ask me, why did you leave MBA? Full stop. Why did you leave your MBA career? Full stop. That's it. So I have to say, sir, it is very monotonous in terms of absence of diversity. If I get in the civil services, I will interact more with different kinds of members of the society. I want to write this exam. Full stop. Don't drag on. Then I have this negative habit of moving my hands like this. As you noticed, this is a very negative body language for a civil servant. Apparently that civil servant has to be very uptight, and you should not shake your legs. You should not have too much of outward body movements. So there will be 5 people in the interview, apart from the chairman. So if you 1, 2, 3, 4. The guy who is sitting on the right side, his chair will not be here. His chair will be here somewhere. He is observing your legs movement, your knee movements, whether you are tapping your legs like this, or whether you are crossing your legs, how you are moving your hands, whether you are constantly fidgeting. If you notice my personality, I fidget a lot. I move my hands a lot. So, and my eyebrows increase a lot. So they observe these things as well. From a civil servant's perspective, whether you are going to terrify a victim who is coming to you, or someone comes to you for some arji, and you will suddenly scare him away. So they look at body language very, very precisely. I am very bad in that, no problem. But other things I will make up for. Then they will ask you about your application. Application में जो लिखा है, anything that you have written, ಏನೇ ಬರ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಅದರ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು. Don't write bullshit. That is very important. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಬಿ ಕಾಲಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಂತೂ ತುಂಬ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ as a civil servant we don't get all the nice executive postings all throughout our career. There will be times when you will be sitting idle. When you are sitting idle, what will you do? You have to have some hobby. You have to spend your time. So they will want to test you whether you really know your hobby or not. So they will ask you questions on your hobby. So much time will be spent on your hobby. Why have you written your hobby as I do kept planting for being different? Someone will say I plant trees. Then one chairman, what she did? She took the candidate, she took to the UPSC garden and said, tell me the names of all these trees. You're dead. So be honest. Don't invent hobbies for the sake of UPSC. If you don't have a hobby, write, I listen to music, I read, that's it enough. Don't invent hobbies for the sake of UPSC, you will be caught. So you will be caught very badly. So that is very important. Then you have all the education you have done, all different schools, colleges, the names of your schools, names of your colleges, your own name, what is the name, what is the meaning of your name, what is the history of your name. I did not know the history or genealogy of my name before UPSC, so I found out which is the history of Giris. So where are they found in West Bengal, which particular districts, what do the Giris do. So all this you have to find out. So you have to dig into your own name, your own genealogy, which you have never bothered till now. So that is very important. And then schools, the Dayanand Anglo Vedic High School, for my school was VVS Sardar Patel High School. Okay. So you should focus on history of your application. So these things are very important, and be honest in your interview. That's what I would say. And then large part of the exam is based on luck. Whatever God gives, take it, be happy, smile or cry and get out. UPSC is not the beginning, UPSC is not the end. You have many other things to do as well. If it does not happen, does not happen. Go on with other careers. Stay happy. God bless. Thank you.